Welcome back to Integrated, a podcast for entrepreneurial couples who want to be awesome partners and parents and live a good life while juggling just so much.
Yeah, we're here to help guide you and support you in that process.
Yeah, and we are therapists, coaches, teachers, and we are an entrepreneurial couple, you could say, and we're parents. And that's who we work with. We primarily work with people like you who want to have stellar relationships. And it's hard. And we're going to talk about why it's hard sometimes.
Mm-hmm. And how to work with it so it's all flowing better.
That's right. In the last episode, we covered attachment. That was part 1. This is part 2. So if you have not listened to that, please go listen to that for bigger context. We talked about like the undercurrent of some of your fights or stress between the two of you can be an attachment dynamic. Mm-hmm. And we talked about kind of what that is, what that means, and how if you learn how to address it and you bring it into your awareness and bring it into your relationship, you can end up making each other less wrong and just have more compassion for the human animal that we are when we partner.
Yeah. And it creates like a whole nother pathway through conflict. When you address these deeper layers, kind of what's going on underneath the conflict.
Yeah.
So that your partner feels, considered and understood and cared about in a way that a lot of couples tend to miss if they don't understand this part of the human being. Today,
we're going to add on to our conversation from last time and talk about attachment styles. Mm-hmm. And that's traditionally you hear words like anxious avoidant on social media, maybe anxious ambivalent and anxious avoidant. These are kind of psychological terms people have come up with to describe what happens in partnership and with parent-child relationships under stress, what people do. Mm-hmm. And you might have heard terms like insecure attachment, secure attachment. We're going to cover all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we did a little bit last time, I think. Mm-hmm. Today we're going to go a little deeper into the attachment styles.
Yeah,
which there are several, and so we can help you. The idea would be to help you understand attachment styles, especially if that's something you've heard about. Chances are there's more to understand there. It's a really nuanced and deep theory, and there's tons of literature, so there's a lot to understand about it. And it might also help you just kind of locate yourself, locate your partner, and then have more of a sense of what you're working with.
Yeah. And maybe we start with the terms in Stan Tatkin's language.
Yeah.
And you've been studying with Stan for years. Stan's been on my other podcast a number of times. Mm-hmm. He's a great mentor of mine. And we just like his lingo here, the way the words he uses, because it's just, I think, less pathologizing and more fun and interesting.
Yeah. And Stan Tatkin, just in case people don't know, he developed the psychobiological approach to couple therapy, which I've been training in for a long time with him. And he's also written many books at this point on couples and how those relationships work. And his theory and work is really a great combination of neuroscience and attachment theory and understanding the body and then how we regulate ourselves and each other best, given that we are human mammals and we have nervous systems. And that really matters when it comes to our most important relationships. And the nervous system is a really big part of what's getting kind of wired in when we're developing our attachment relationships. So attachment and nervous system, those two aspects of ourselves go together pretty well.
Mm-hmm. And just to, again, before we dive into the terms here, mm-hmm. just think of yourself under stress, just to kind of ground this in an example. I'm thinking of a couple where the man is the entrepreneur, works all the time, and the woman stays home and raises the kids. And he tends to, when they get into a fight, he withdraws further into work and further into himself. And she wants to communicate and talk it out. And, hey, Where are you? You're pulling away. What's going on here? We need to work through this challenge together. And she can come across as maybe demanding or needy to him, and then that has him want to retreat further. He can come across to her like he doesn't care about her or her feelings. All he cares about is work. This is like a classic kind of dynamic you see in an entrepreneurial couple where there's an attachment dynamic going on.
Yeah. Yeah. There's an aspect of that is very much about attachment. And so that's what we're going to try to help you understand today.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit last time about attachment, what it is, what it means. And today, so some of the terminology. So there's, we can be in a securely attached relationship or an insecurely attached relationship. And so there's, and then under insecure, there's a couple types, and those are the attachment styles we're going to speak to today. Under secure, there's one attachment style, securely attached. And that Stan's language there is anchor. He calls that person with a secure attachment style an anchor. And really just in the sense that they have a certain kind of capacity that for relationship, for being, engaging in the world, taking risks, seeking out connection, being able to resource themselves when that's needed, because sometimes in life that's needed too. And there's again a whole world of what kind of the benefits of having a sense of secure attachment from early in life can provide you. And we talked about that a little bit last time, and we can go into that more today, but that's the anchor. And then the two insecure styles we're going to talk about today are, as you said earlier, there's the avoidant, which in Stan Tatkin's terminology would be the island. And then there's also anxious ambivalent, which Stan would call the wave. So we have an anchor, island, and wave. And the island is sort of that person who likes to be on their own island, right? They seem to want to be alone more often, have more time to themselves. They're more internal. They maybe don't discuss or share or even think about their inner life and feelings a whole lot. At least from the outside, it doesn't look like that. And they seem to be pretty good with just being self-sufficient and independent and not needing a whole lot. And then there's the wave, who definitely seems more active and engaged in their relationships, wants to talk about their feelings, seems much more in touch with, and even just more articulate about their feelings, and seems more interested and wants to know about what's going on with the other people that are important to them, has a lot to share when it comes to how they feel. And again, they can bring some great resources into the world when it comes to connection and relationship. They are more just obviously openly interested in that from the outside. Yeah.
And this, as you think about which one are you, right? Because as you're listening, you're like, am I more an island, or am I more a wave, or am I more of an anchor? Again, it's under stress that it's just very diagnostic under stress. It's what do you do? Do you retreat and not want to talk about it and like, we're fine? Or do you want to talk about it and kind of work through it? Do you want to call the couples coach or therapist? Do you want to try to research and learn? Anyway, these are just terms that I think are going to help you. And the reason we try to identify ourselves in these is because it's going to help us know our partner and know what to do, and know ourselves and know how to advocate, but also do it in a way that works for who we're with.
Yeah. And the idea is that really, I think all of us do best when we feel secure. So if we think of secure attachment as sort of like this center point, this place in our most important relationships where a human being just feels the most relaxed, the most trusting, has the most faith in the strength of their relationships. They don't have to worry about if the relationship's okay. Should I stay or go? Is it going to be here tomorrow or not? They're not caught up in that. They're really just, they know themselves. They feel like they know their person, and they feel good and connected, and they can kind of move on to, other things in life that need their attention besides this, like, are we or aren't we? This kind of fixation on what's going on here between us. And so if we think of the insecure attachment styles, there's a little more preoccupation with their partnerships, or a little more kind of disconnection from them. If you're on the more island side, there's like a difficulty to kind of track and be engaged in them. And really for everyone, this idea of we seem to function best as humans when we feel secure in our most important relationships. We have the best health outcomes. We have the best physical, mental, and emotional health markers, in terms of research. It's just, there's a lot of evidence for that. So, and then there's just a lot of lived experience, like check in with your own experience. Like, when I'm doing best in life, am I also feeling pretty like my relationships are doing well? Or if my relationships are doing well, does that help me feel more capable and like I can deal better with really whatever life's bringing me? For most of us, that's true. And so when we have an insecure attachment style going on, we are trying to kind of move towards how can we do things in a more secure way? So like, again, in Stan Tatkin's language, which some of you might be familiar with, that would be like, how do we become more functioning as if we are a secure couple? Okay. Like secure functioning is his term for that. So that is what we're going to be talking about. We'll talk about the kind of the drawbacks to the insecure attachment style ways when it comes to adult partnerships, and also sort of the path towards more optimal functioning for everybody.
Yeah. And I do think it's worth just mentioning this is an invitation to reflect on your childhood as well. Yeah. And how you were raised and what happened in your family, because this sowed the seeds of your, what I call, relational blueprint that then plays out in your adult partnership. Mm-hmm. And so if you're a wave as a kid, like the wave experience was, my parents are there for me emotionally some of the time, probably infrequently, and a lot of the time not really there for me emotionally. So it leaves a child feeling like, oh, I never know when the connection is here. And so they feel anxious around the connection. Are we good? Am I good in relationship to you? And that's why this term anxious, right? It's like, I'm scared, that I'm nervous. Is mom and dad, are they okay? Am I okay with mom or dad? That's kind of the feeling. And they keep looking because there are moments of connection that feel good, that are like, yeah, someone was there for me on a more emotional level. So,
but it's inconsistent.
But it's inconsistent. And we're not talking about, a lot of people are like, oh, well, my parents were always there for me. Food, clothing, shelter was always there. So we're not talking about like the basic needs like that. Or
love. We're not even this isn't about love
This
either.
isn't about loving you less, right? Every parent really probably loves their kids as much as they do. So this doesn't really have anything to do with that. This is just, was the emotional presence and connection there? Did they actually see me and get me and hold me when I was in pain and when I was scared and uncomfortable? Did they attend to me? And often that's, a lot of us didn't grow up with people like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And help me build up my resilience and my capacities and sort of, be there as I learned how to do more and more over time for myself.
And then in the island family, they're more, they didn't see relationships as like a resource. And so you went kind of to yourself, to books, or you went outside, or you went to school and you went to sports, performing. You did things that kept the connection going with the parents, that kept them paying attention to you, but there was no emotional attunement or connection going on, hardly at all. And so the child just learns to like, cool, there's kind of nothing here for me, so I gotta have myself. And then it turns into, I don't need anything from the big people. Yeah. And I'm fine. And then that turns into an adult who says this similar stuff. I'm fine on my own. I don't really need you. I don't need to talk about anything.
Right. Yeah.
And so this is important. You reflect on what you grew up with, because that's where this all got laid down.
Yeah. Yeah. You're sort of talking about in those two examples of those two insecure attachment styles, it's like growing up in two different family cultures.
Yeah.
And you kind of, attachment is an adaptation to whatever kind of relationship is being offered to you. And so in those situations, as kids, we figure out how to get the connection we can get. And so attachment, however it goes, you're gonna form an attachment, or else you wouldn't be here. We need one in order to live. Mm-hmm. We have to be connected to someone who's caring for us, and maintain that however we need to maintain it. And then they're great. We've adapted. So it's a success in that you've adapted. And now as an adult, you have more adapting to do, more growth and development to do, because once you get into a mutual partnership, one where you're supposed to be, again, as we talk about sharing leadership, co-creating your own relational experience, creating a shared vision and purpose, even for your partnership, and mutually invested in the relationship, that will, if you grew up with an insecure attachment style, you're going to struggle with that kind of mutuality, potentially, unless you've done a lot of work on yourself and you've really learned what it takes to share, co-lead, and co-create something mutual that's good for both of you. Mm-hmm. And so, if that's a struggle in your partnership, if it's a struggle to feel like it's good for both of you, like it's fair and working for both of you, like it's equitable, chances are you have some kind of attachment challenges going on where it makes it just really difficult to figure out how to make this good for both of us, because you sort of got this download that something's going to be unfair about this. I'm going to have to abandon some part of myself to keep this relationship, or I'm going to have to cut off this relationship in order to maintain a connection to myself. Like that there's some real inner conflict that being in a partnership can activate there. And that's hitting on some of that attachment material that gets activated with partnering and depending on someone. That's really the key is in these intense, committed relationships, it does bring up our depending on each other, which brings up our attachment material.
Yeah, big time. And it can be this is where you're like, why is this so hard? Why is my partner so hard? God, it was easy in the beginning. Mm-hmm. This has become such a pain in the ass. I feel like all we do is fight, or we're just disconnected. And couples can really struggle here because they don't really have the attachment lens, and this is why we're bringing this up, because we think once you have this, you're like, oh, it starts to make sense.
Yeah.
Why we both act this way and why this is hard. Because if you think about the island wave dynamic, those, like Ellen said, they're like two different languages, two different cultures. One's grew up in the desert, one grew up in the Arctic, and now you got to like do things together, and you do things totally differently. And it's like, oh shit, how you're wired for connection is way different than how I'm wired for connection.
Yeah.
And we start to struggle to be a team. And the most obvious thing we do under stress when we're in an insecure partnership is we blame ourselves or we blame our partner, right? It must be me or it must be them. That's why this is so hard. Instead of, we suck at being a team. We don't know how yet. We probably should apply ourselves and learn. This is a very learnable skill, really, is learning how to move towards security, which we've called standing for 3 in a previous episode, which we'll mention again here in a minute. It's a new way of being.
Yeah.
It requires, like Ellen said, it requires growth. It requires you develop yourself you can't just be entitled thinking, oh, it must be the person I married. It's probably I just picked the wrong person. No, you picked a great person who is very difficult, just like you. And the two of you haven't figured out a way forward yet.
Yeah. 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 Until people have really, addressed how to collaborate well. It would be a shame to call it, to call a relationship before either of you have really explored or learned how to collaborate as two people sharing leadership, sharing ownership for this relationship. We're in this together. This is ours. It's whatever we want it to be. And so how do we make that good for you, me, and us? Until people have really explored that, it is a shame to call it. And, whether it's blaming you or, like I picked the wrong person or this person's just impossible. Like that's just not the whole story. And sometimes it is about how we do things that is the bigger story. Yeah. That when couples get help to look at that, it starts to open up all kinds of possibilities. Yeah.
Remember my boat metaphor in one of the previous episodes. I just want to bring that in as a visual because I think some of you are visual. Because Ellen just said how we travel together. So we're in this boat and we're out in the ocean, and it's our marriage, right? And this boat is our relationship. And the wave is on one side of the boat with a paddle, and the island is on the other side of the boat with a paddle. And how people often experience this is the wave is over there paddling really hard. Hey, I want to talk about it. I want to figure this out. You need to communicate with me. And they're coming in with their energy, right? And they're kind of paddling, like splashing the water and kind of irritated. And the island is over there just kind of hunkering down. Paddle's not in the water. It's sitting on the side interior of the boat, and they're kind of leaning back, just kind of trying to get away from this wave. And as you can imagine, how they're going to travel is in a circle over time, because one person is trying, the other person's kind of avoiding and doesn't want to deal. And the person trying doesn't understand their way of trying isn't working either. They're going in a circle. Yes. And they don't see that. And so we're trying to offer a way to travel that's moving towards security, where we both paddle and we both do it in a way that feels good to both of us. And what we've said in a previous episode is we stand for three. So it has to feel good for me, good for you, and it's good for us. So I'm taking a stand for how you do things in life and like your success. You're taking a stand for mine. And we're both taking a stand for the relationship we're traveling in, which is called our boat. And I think in that way, we can travel through the storms of life way better if we're working as a team.
Yeah. So maybe we can talk about what that looks like to go from that, and like maybe even just exactly using that example, to go from like the wave who's like frantically paddling and kind of angrily, resentfully, going in a circle and is like, look, you're not helping at all. Like you're not doing anything over there. And the island is a little bit like, well, I'm trying to paddle a little bit, but like, I don't really know what's going on, right? Just seems kind of out of it and like doesn't want to be, seems like they don't want to be there.
And they don't see the benefit of doing it together because they can't figure it out together. So they're like, why would I want to do this with you?
Well, I think they're also both in a story that like, if you just stop doing what you're doing and if you just stopped being
you just change
so intense and so like whatever intense over there, if you just stop being so like checked out, this would be better. Yeah. And so they're both kind of focused on how the other partner is doing things in a way that should change. Helping, yeah. Which again is that's just gonna be a circular fight, an argument, because everyone's going to defend themselves if they feel blamed for how things are. Yeah. And there's a way to approach that starts to invite both people looking at it together, right? Yeah. Like, so either one of them could start with something like, hey, I'm noticing this. It seems like you're working really hard over there. and I'm kind of overwhelmed and I don't even know how to get my oar in the water over here. And then where that's taking us is like nowhere good fast.
Mm-hmm. And what we're, and then I could say things that actually consider you and your feelings. Like, I'm wondering if my way of approaching how we're traveling is kind of upsetting for you. And it's not working, and it's making more stress, not less stress, despite my best intentions over here. I'm just I'm obviously like, I can see you're upset, and I can see that my way is hard for you. Is that true?
Yeah.
Versus you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. It can be hard to have these kind of let's look at this together conversation, because a lot of people don't ever talk about their relationship this way. Like, they don't ever just talk about their relationship. Like, how's this going for you? What's it like to be my partner? What aspects of this relationship do you really value? What parts of it are really challenging for you? What would you change if you could? Like, great.
Yeah.
Like, great. Just conversation. That's just off the top of my head, things to talk about when it comes to all the different things you could talk about when it comes to your relationship. But that's kind of noticing what's going on, trying to put words to it, showing that you care about how your partner's doing and what's happening here. That can be a really good start.
Yeah. And again, a sign of a secure relationship is one that can talk about the relationship.
Yeah.
So if you're with an eye roller who every time you want to talk about the relationship, they're like, oh God, here we go again. The person that is eye rolling and says, here we go again, you need to realize you're actually reinforcing an insecure relationship.
Yeah.
You're not allowing the relationship to evolve and develop into the next place, because you're over there entitled, thinking it should be easier without doing any effort. So everybody's got to get really honest here. And I just call it like, let's zoom way out. And let's do like in entrepreneurial language, let's do a 360 on our relationship, and let's give each other feedback. Let's be really receptive, no defensiveness allowed. Just like, hey, can we just hear the other person's feedback, and can we deliver it in a way that's like hearable, right? Or can we just have an honest conversation, like Ellen's saying, about the relationship? It can happen however you want it to happen, but it's time to set the oars down and just look at each other and say, can we talk about our relationship? I don't know how we're traveling here isn't kind of working for either one of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would that be okay?
Without blame, that could take you somewhere. You can set the blame aside and just try to be curious about what's it like to be you? What's it like to be me? I wonder how we could find a way that works better for both of us. What do we actually both want at the end of the day? Like at the end of our lives, what are we going for? Like that can be good for couples.
That can be very orienting.
Very orienting. Like, are we even on the same page about the kind of relationship we want to be in, or where we see ourselves headed as a couple, how we want to feel and function over time? Because if you are on the same page, then that starts to inform your day to day. Like, oh, if we both want this thing, we're probably both going to have to do certain things and not do certain things to have that experience. And we're going to have to help each other, and we're going to have to give each other feedback, and we're going to have to be interested in what it's like to be in relationship with me. And that's all, like, regardless of your attachment history or attachment style, if you can start to do some of these things that we're saying, you're moving towards secure functioning.
Yeah.
You can have whatever attachment style you want. But if you start to work in a way that is collaborative and considerate, and where you have your own ideas of how you want things to go, and you're collaborating with your partner about theirs, and you're coming up with a shared vision, that's security for a couple. It's different with parents and children, but for a couple, that starts to build security. Plus repair, because repair is a huge part of this too. This is also a couple who, as you're moving towards security, you're learning how to repair better and better. That you're not just doing, sorry you feel that way.
Yeah, or even just
sorry you heard it like that. Like,
or just sorry I did that, or that wasn't my intention.
That wasn't my intention.
These are all big mistakes that you make when you're trying to fix it or make the relationship recover after a big mistake or snag or fight. So one of the skills that we'll be talking about in future episodes is repair, because like Ellen's saying, it's the hallmark of a securely attached relationship is the ability and willingness to repair well. And that means I behave in a way after the fight where I take responsibility, I validate feelings, I empathize, I reflect back, I make sure I understand what you went through, and I own, what I did wrong or where I made a mistake. And I get the impact of that. Like all of this, and we're both doing that kind of thing, it helps us both collectively calm down.
Yeah.
And the nervous system get back to a good place.
Yeah.
So we're like, we're a team again. Okay.
Yeah. And we can start to plan ahead. Like, well, what are we going to do next time? What if this happens again? How are we going to do it better? Like couples that are moving towards security are planning for the future. They're planning for future mistakes. Like, okay, so the next time I have, an intense tone of voice with you, what's our plan? So we don't, get into a big fight, again, or like all those kinds of things. Like a couple who's repairing well is also planning for next time and improving how they do things, or getting really quick at recovering from those things when mistakes do happen.
And repairing well actually is the sign, like the better you get at repairing, the more resilient you are, the stronger your foundation is, the stronger your boat is for travel, because you aren't afraid of conflict. You're not afraid of mistakes. It's part of the terrain. Storms are a part of any relationship, and challenges are going to come. You're going to go through transitions in your life where you have kids, or the kids left the house, or finances are tight, or the business fails. All of these are moments where repair is a critical skill, because you don't want your business to divide the two of you. You don't want stress from the outside, like a health problem or a family challenge, to divide you two. You want to use any and all challenges to strengthen your relationship. And the key skill there is repair. You have to get very good at understanding where the other person's coming from and having them feel validated and understood and seen and respected, and vice versa. And then it's like, okay, we can handle this challenge. Because I'm a firm believer that if you know how to do this well, you kind of can get through anything. It could be an affair, it could be a betrayal, it could be like if a couple has the skill and they learn how well, you can get through really hard stuff.
Well, I think if you also have the understanding that your relationship is really the most important thing you both have,
Yeah.
And in that sense, you would think twice before having an affair. Of
course.
You would, hopefully catch big things before they happen. Sometimes we don't. Of course, that happens to people too.
They often happen when there's insecure pockets, or there's stuff going on that makes the relationship vulnerable.
Human beings have blind spots.
Yeah.
We act out. Things happen. But if you have this real knowing in you that your relationship is the most important thing you have as a couple, you're going to protect it. You're going to look after it. You're going to prioritize repair. You're going to prioritize each other's experience. And you want your partner to be having a good experience. You want to be having a good experience in this relationship. And so you're going to tend to that more actively so that you can, keep moving forward, keep developing, keep growing, keep doing all the other things you're up to in life. Because this is like the home we're coming in and out of, but it isn't the only thing we're up to by any means, right?
Yeah. But it's a great central hub of your life.
Yeah.
And if you do this well, you've probably noticed everything else is easier when you're really connected. It's phenomenally easier, I think you said yesterday. Yeah. When we're in a good place and we're like, we're clear of resentments.
Yeah.
We feel connected. I got your back, you got mine. It's kind of like we can tackle any big challenge out in the world. When our relationship at home is compromised and suffering, everything is harder. That's true for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's brutal to kind of plug along throughout the days, just getting by, and then making a story up that you don't have time to attend to your relationship. I think Ellen's reminding us that if you prioritize the relationship, there's always time. You will make the time. Mm-hmm. It's funny how entrepreneurs will make time at midnight to take a call or wake up at 5 or work on weekends, but they won't attend to their partnership when it's hurting.
Yeah.
That says a lot, right? And that might speak to your attachment style and where you come from. Mm-hmm. But if you keep doing that, it's like an injury that you just start compensating and you don't attend to the injury. It's not good long term. It's not going to bode well for you. And then you're making the relationship vulnerable to these external stressors, thirds coming in, like an affair or a health crisis or money issues. Like you just, right? You want to make this thing bomber. Mm-hmm. And it requires a ton of attention and care.
And just, presence. Like really, you can't autopilot this at all. You can't autopilot your business or your kids or your partner. Yeah. You can for a moment because our brains want to do that. But really, we have to keep bringing back our presence and our attentiveness to the things that matter most. Really, there's so many areas of life that are so important, right?
Yeah.
And
it's all demanding.
And it's all demanding. And, with a couple, like, I just see them at the top and every other part of their life is sort of downstream from that. Because us being together, you and I being together is, our kids are downstream from that. Our business, our shared business adventures are downstream from that. Our home, it all started with the two of us deciding to share life together.
Yeah, and be a team.
And so everything's downstream from that. So if this connection isn't clear, if it's getting bogged down with resentments, if I'm starting to think, there's stuff I just can't talk to you about, it just doesn't work. Mm-hmm. That is just, you are just creating a pile of challenge. Some of the hardest couples to help are the ones, not the ones who are necessarily fighting all the time, but they're the ones who have spent 20, 30 years just building up resentment.
And never successfully repairing any of them.
Yeah. And so they might even be kind of like not really an outwardly fighting couple, but they have created a lot of hurt, a lot of injustice, a lot of inconsideration between each other that can be very hard to overcome. And, so that, again, if you're moving towards security, you are talking about your relationship. You are making sure your partner knows that they, as well as your relationship, are a priority for you. Mm-hmm. And this all requires you knowing yourself and advocating for what you want as well. It can't just be about what the other person wants, what makes them happy. I have a lot of couples where they come in like, I just want to know what you want. And like, I just want to give you that. I just want you to be happy. That's not what we're talking about. Yeah. We're talking about two adults sharing power and responsibility for their individual and shared experience. And that requires both of you knowing yourselves and being able to know what you want in life and put that out there and together chart a path.
Yeah. And so to review a couple things that you can begin to do, right, is the first thing, I just want to mention two of the most important things. If you're like, okay, what do we do next about this whole attachment stuff? Is number one, zoom out and talk about the relationship. Begin to make that part of your culture. It's okay to talk about the relationship here. And in fact, we're going to do a monthly check-in about our relationship or weekly or whatever. And we're going to talk about how do we feel? Yeah. How is this going?
Yeah.
Like, why would a team not want to have that conversation?
Yeah.
How am I treating you as a teammate? Does it feel good? Does it feel bad? Like, what's going on over there? Okay. So that's got to happen. And then we're going to prioritize the partnership, or we're going to maybe hold that intention to begin to prioritize the partnership. Mm-hmm. And we're going to practice this way of being called standing for three that Ellen and I talked about in episode 2. I think it was the essential framework for a long-term relationship, where again, I'm doing things that are good for me, you, and us, and you're doing the same. Why would I do something good for me but bad for you when we're on this little boat out in the middle of nowhere together? It's not going to go well. There's probably going to be resentments.
Yeah.
Right. So those are 3 things that we can start to do, like conceptually, right? And then there's the day in and day out practices of which we'll get into further in the episodes where how do we repair if I'm more of a avoider? How do I repair without coming across as demanding and needy?
Right. And critical.
Critical. How do I address our sex life without it just sounding like a big grievance or complaint or in a way that actually considers my person.
And has them hear that actually I really care about our relationship. Yeah. And I last thing I want to say, because I know how full people are. We're very full, especially if you're running your own business and you're raising kids and you're partnered. There's a lot of demands. And so prioritizing your relationship, prioritizing your partner doesn't necessarily mean that you spend the most time here.
Critical.
You can be raising kids, you can be running a business, you can be up to a lot of things in the world, and your partner can still feel like a priority in your life. And we can talk more about how to do that, because this is about really maximizing your time, the time you have, and the connection, so that you can, have a lot of fuel and capacity for all the things you're up to. Relationships aren't, it's not realistic to think, well, now I'm going to spend, if it's the most important thing, I have to spend more time here than at work. No, you might have to spend some more time as a couple. Yeah. But it doesn't, I just like people to know that. Like sometimes people are like, where are we going to fit that in? And we're already like, we have no time. And I'm like, you can make time, and it doesn't take a lot of time to make someone feel like the priority that they want to feel in your life. So we'll talk more about that later. Yeah.
And just a reminder to not be a victim to your business and sort of blame your I just can't because the business requires X, Y, and Z. When you say things like that, you're communicating to your partner, it's more important than you. And over time, that wears on the person. And be careful about the entrepreneur's classic statement of, it'll be better in 6 months. It'll be better after the launch. It'll be better once we hit X amount of dollars, right? These targets.
Right.
There's always that story is so pervasive in every entrepreneur I work with.
Yeah.
Down the road, we'll prioritize our kids.
Yeah.
Right? I will be there after the business hits the milestones.
Yeah.
And then your life goes by. 10 years, 20 years goes by, and you're like, oh shit, what happened? And then you're empty nesters and you're strangers to each other, and you've both coexisted. Yeah. So we're going to try to help you not do that. Yeah. To not be that couple, because we've worked with them too, where at the end of, their kids are leaving and they missed it. So, and they missed their partner along the way. And there's, we all know that that's a really big time for divorce, is after kids leave. And again, maybe that's right for some couples, but if that's not part of your shared vision, then there's ways to avoid that. Another quick sign of diagnostically, if you're prioritizing your kids and your business, because there's a lot of fulfillment with children and raising kids, right? For some of us. And if we're not being able to repair and we're stressed a lot, we tend to just go to work and go to the kids, go to the hobbies, because the relationship's hard. So that's okay. That's just another sign of insecurity, is we can't seem to address our problems. And so I don't want to deal with them. I would rather do other things because this is so impossible, or so it feels so challenging. And I feel like a white belt here, and I feel insecure, and it brings up all my stuff, and I don't want to deal. Right? Because a lot of entrepreneur types like to feel competent. and you can feel really incompetent in an adult partnership. Again, no problem. It's just admit, okay, this is probably insecurity here. I've set it up this way and I don't like how it feels. So I'm going to do something about it. Yeah, that's the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. And here's the invitation, right? Listen to this together. If one of you is listening, bring this to your partner. Maybe it'll bring some understanding about the dynamic between the two of you. Even better is to take one step in with something we've suggested, whether it's a weekly date night or something. We
didn't suggest that, but we did suggest talking about your relationship and finding out, what it's like to be your partner in partnership with you. Making it okay and actually important to talk about your relationship as a team, not in this blame and criticize way, but in let's look at this together kind of way. And yeah, I think dates or time together as a couple is super important too. And how you spend that time matters. We'll have ideas for you about how to make that time more connective. Because actually a lot of couples come in and they're like, how do we connect more? They really don't know.
Or when we connect, all we talk about is work.
Or kids.
Yeah.
Or logistics. And it's we're business partners, even if we don't work together, because the business of life is a huge endeavor. But how do we just be a couple interested in who this person is and their life journey and what it's like to be them and what's important to them and what's arising for them in life and finding out and being ongoingly curious and interested in each other. So we'll have more ideas about that.
We will. All right. You've got a few things to do. Last thing to do is subscribe. Please subscribe. Share this with a partner or a friend. We're just getting rolling here. And you can watch the videos on Spotify. You can comment there, or you can just listen to Apple Podcasts. But do subscribe. That helps us know that this is valuable. We track this stuff, and we want more of entrepreneurial couples, people like you, to be benefiting from this. Okay. Thanks, Ellen.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, guys.